Thank you so much for coming out today. Today we're excited to announce a great breakthrough in a 53-year-old cold case, thanks to the work of our detectives, partnering agencies, and some advanced technology. Speaking today will be Chief Kevin Davis and Assistant Chief of Investigations, Brooke Wright. Chief?
Thank you, Katie, and good afternoon. Our excitement is always tempered by a sad circumstance that took the life of a little boy in 1972, some 53 years ago. So while we have news to share, it still really touches the Bryant family in particular, and they're here today. They join us as well. So it's a somber set of circumstances that we are proud to share with you, because it wasn't too long ago in policing when the investigation of a cold case was doing neighborhood canvasses and knocking on doors and re-interviewing family members, re-interviewing witnesses, an occasional deathbed confession. And all those pieces of police work are still alive and well in our profession, but now we knock on the door of genetic genealogy. And we've stood in this room on several occasions over the last few years and have been able to announce that we've identified a homicide victim, we've identified a perpetrator, and today we're going to share with you a series of events that began in 1972 that have led us here today to finally, 53 years later, identify the homicide victim in 1972. And we're also going to share with you some information about a person that we want to learn a whole lot more about, because we know he was involved in that sad day in 1972. A few thank yous, and then I'll turn it over to Chief Wright. She's going to walk us through this investigation all the way back to 1972. I want to personally thank our major crimes bureaus, particularly Cold Case Squad, Victim Services Division, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children right here in Northern Virginia. They did an early sketch for this case, and they've offered their support all along the way. Innovative Forensic Investigations for their genealogy breakthrough that you're going to hear about today, and they are with us as well. The Philadelphia Police Department, Detective Hesser, Detective Benson, two veteran homicide detectives from the Philadelphia Police Department who made a trip down here just to be part of this announcement, and thank them for their work. Astria Forensics, the DNA, and you're going to hear more about the DNA from the hair and the jawbone that helped us break through with this case. The Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office and District Attorney's Office, they assisted with exhuming the exhumation process that we recently undertook. Office of the District Attorney, City of Philadelphia for their coordination, George Mason University for their overall forensic coordination, the FBI for their long-term support in this case, Greenmount Cemetery, Jones Funeral Home, Coleman Cemetery, but most importantly, the Bryant family is here today, and they're going to be available for a question or two. A family representative will be, and that'll be kind of at the end. But we can't thank him enough for still being part of this effort and this announcement today. So I will turn it over to Chief Wright, and she'll walk you through the details.
Thank you, Chief. After more than 50 years, the cold case detectives have identified the murdered boy that was found in Lorton in 1972 as 4-year-old Carl Matthew Bryant, born May 26, 1968. On June 13, 1972, a boy was riding his bike home from school in the Lorton area, and he saw a body below the bridge, the old Colchester Bridge in Lorton. He raced home, told his mother, she called police, and detectives responded out to find a child who was unidentified. They didn't have any missing children reports to match up to who this child might be. He was unclothed, and it was ruled that he had died as a result of a blunt force trauma, so it was ruled a homicide. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children have received more tips on this case than any other case in the state of Virginia, because in 2003 they used a computer-generated sketch to try to determine the identity of this little boy. It's the image you see on the screen now. He still was not identified. Fortunately, one of the original case detectives had claimed some of the hair during his autopsy, and in 2004 the FBI was able to extract some DNA from that hair. Still though, there was no match found. Recently, a company called Astri was able to assist and help through genetic genealogy, and Carl was determined to be the son of Vera Bryant. Vera Bryant was a woman who lived in Philadelphia in 1972. Relatives knew that she had traveled by car with her boyfriend James Hedgepeth, her son Carl, and her 6-month-old son James Bryant. They were traveling on that day in June from Philadelphia down to Middlesex County, Virginia. When the couple arrived in Middlesex County, Virginia, they met with James Hedgepeth's family. The couple did not have children with them. Vera visited her relatives that Thanksgiving in 1972. She did not have children with her at Thanksgiving that year. She explained that her children were with James's family in Virginia. Both Vera and James Hedgepeth are now deceased. Vera passed away in Pennsylvania in 1980. Hedgepeth died later. Vera's DNA was extracted from her remains and matched as the mother of Carl Matthew Bryant. Based on the fact that the couple left with children and arrived without them, they never made a report of any kids being missing. We believe that both boys may have been murdered on June 13, 1972, between Pennsylvania and Virginia. We believe this is the route they may have traveled. And the baby may have been discarded along the route also, but he has not ever been located. The area in Lorton was searched for several days. Detectives put a lot of work into the case, but they never found any other persons. And at that time, they also didn't know that they were looking for another child. We know that Hedgepeth had been convicted of murder in 1962. He had served time in prison for that murder, and he met Vera after that time in prison. He was not the father of either of the boys. We spotlight this case to finally recognize Carl Matthew Bryant's identity. And we ask for the public's help in filling in the missing information. Perhaps somebody witnessed something along that route that day, or maybe Vera or James confided in someone before they had died. Maybe another jurisdiction had recovered a 6-month-old baby's remains and didn't have any way to tie it to this case, as we didn't know that there would be any relation to this case. And as you know, in 1972, as compared to 2025, how we communicate amongst law enforcement has vastly improved. So we hope to know what happened to baby James, who was born in January of 1972. If anyone has information or you believe you can help us, we ask that you call our Major Crimes Bureau at 703-246-7800, option 2, or call our Crime Solvers line at 1-866-411-8477. You can remain anonymous. As the chief said, we had a long list of partners who were instrumental in helping us get to this case to the point we're at today. I'd also like to acknowledge the family members of Carl Matthew, James, and Vera Bryant. The Coleman Cemetery in Alexandria area of Fairfax County, they laid Carl to rest in a proper burial when he remained unidentified. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Detective Corporal Dan Mustaine, crime scene officers Miller and Boatwright, who back in 1972 had the forethought to collect Carl's hair, which ultimately was the key to allowing science to identify him in 2025. And with that, we'll take any of your questions.
Chief, didn't you mention someone in particular you want to talk to or want to identify?
So the boyfriend is now deceased. He died several years ago. We'd like to talk to people who knew a little bit about him. He was the one who served time in prison in the sentence, I think, in 1962. Got out, became involved in a relationship with the mom. He did not father the 2 children. But in the event that he shared any information with family or friends since 1972, even though he's now deceased, we'd like to know about that. And we think there's every possibility that probably took place. And our plea is for people to come forward, even if they think they know him, but they're not sure what information about him would be helpful. Call us anyway, and we'd love to talk to you.
And talk about the importance of those details, both to your department and to family.
Well, it's important to get details on someone. Oftentimes, the weight of committing a murder, and we've seen it in Fairfax County. We've stood in this room and announced cold case closures just because the weight of carrying that worst thing you can possibly do to another person often results in sharing that information with others. So in order to bring the Bryant family, and they're here with us today, an additional level of closure, if that's even the right word, a different level of clarity, we suspect that there are folks out there who know a little bit more about him. And 1972 was a long time ago. Most of this room wasn't alive in 1972, but people have a funny way of remembering details when someone shares with them similar information.
Just want to be clear, in the email you sent yesterday, we said the boy was 5, and you're saying 4. I just want to make sure that which is correct.
His correct age was 4. He had just turned 4 May 26th.
Okay, just a couple also points of clarification. We knew about the brother as well, about James.
We did not know about James until Carl was identified. After Carl was identified, the detectives talked to Carl Bryant's family members who also reported that Vera had a second son, 6 months old. He had been born in January of that year.
So fair to say you're asking, as you said, for help from the public for both.
Correct.
Where this infant could have been.
Correct.
Speak a little generally also, and Chief, I know you talked about it, about how the lines of communication were different with interagencies. Just how hard is this to find, tidbits of information from 53 years ago? I mean, I know the genetic testing matches everything up, but how difficult is it to get a wisp of something from somebody?
Right, and our cold case detectives could probably speak on this a lot more than the chief and I, because they are really digging into these old cases. But, they even verified, like a teletype was sent back in 1972 asking other agencies if they had any missing little boys, 4 to 5 years old. A lot of agencies answered up because they did have, on the East Coast, did have missing children, unfortunately, at that time, none of whom matched, Carl Bryant. So the teletype went out to ask about this child who we had found, but there was no way to know that we were looking for another, like I said, another child, another link to this case, that it was someone who hadn't even lived in Fairfax County, just traveling through. There was a lot of work done by detectives at the time, a lot of door knocking, a lot of walking, a lot of searching. We've come so far in law enforcement that technology's allowed us to do so much more. But even our ways of communicating with each other, even since 9/11, are so much better than they were back then. So it's a lot of pieces to put together and a lot of different areas to try to tie together, and different family members who weren't necessarily related to track down. But our detectives were able to eventually get, with all the assistance we had with our partners, get to that point.
Chief, pardon me if I missed this. Do we know anything about the father of these children, and did they share the same father?
That's not known to us, I don't believe. You want to?
We do, we do not know the father.
Madam Detective?
Oops, sorry. We do not know who the father of Carl is, and there is a father listed on James's birth certificate. I won't be releasing his name, but the children did not have the same father.
And did the family members afterwards, you could understand, okay, what they're saying with his, the gentleman's family, but what about 5 years later? You would think, well, do they ask her, where are the kids? Do you know anything about?
They didn't even know she was back in Philadelphia. Their last knowledge was that she was down with his family in Middlesex, so they didn't even know to ask about the kids because Vera didn't let them know that she was back. So that family tie had been broken at that point. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know, Chief, you had mentioned that either one of these detectives, were they the ones that kept the hair by chance?
I was not born in 1972, so I did not keep the hair. No, the hair was collected at the autopsy in 1972. It was maintained in the case file, and so when we got involved in 2021, the hair was still there, and we were able to send it.
Okay, no offense, sorry. But to know that from a piece of hair that you could solve a cold case like this, how do you react to something like that, just the modern technology?
It was surprising because when we got the hair, when we opened the package, it was literally little specks, like razor stubble. And so the lab, Estrella in California, had said that normally they require at least 2 centimeters of hair to do testing. And I said, well, I don't know if I even have 2 millimeters of hair to send you. And they said, well, send it anyway, we'll see what we can do. And they were able to develop a profile, so it was a pleasant surprise.
Just more on that lab. Has this lab been used before by your cold case? Or is
Not
this the
by us,
first
this
time?
was the first time.
And so they seem from this description to really specialize in hair and DNA. I mean, tell
And
me why you turned to them as opposed to others.
So I believe NCMEC was the one who put us in touch with them because there was a grant at the time, so we were able to do that testing for free, and the information was that they were good with rootless hair, and so we did send it to them.
You don't know.
Yes. You say that the FBI identified the DNA in 2004, and it was the cold case that the detectives that got back into the case in 2021. I mean, how did that come back onto your radar?
Cold case, our detectives have been involved with this case the whole time. It just in 2004, when it went into the National Missing Persons Database, there was no match. I can't remember, I want to say 2016-ish, they tried to get more DNA, so we thought to try to exhume Carl's body from Coleman Cemetery in Alexandria, but unfortunately his tombstone had been washed away from the derecho that happened in 2012, so the cold case detectives at the time were not able to exhume him to get better DNA, and so the case got kind of stuck at that point until 2021 when we sent the hair to Estrella.
You don't happen to have a copy of that teletext? Does that exist anywhere?
Probably.
I'm just-
I'm sure it's in the
That would
case
be a really
file.
cool thing to show as to what kind of technology was sent. The other thing more pertaining to the case, the murders. You're not ruling out that it could have happened in Fairfax County? You don't know where these boys were killed, is what you're saying? Just somewhere between, like, could it have been in here? in this
Absolutely, it
county?
could have been in
Okay,
Fairfax
yeah.
County.
Following that up, from the autopsy of when the child was found, how long before that? Have they been able to determine how long before the body was found that the child had been killed?
Approximately 6 hours.
Anybody else?
Do we know anything more about the rest of Vera's life? Did she have more children? Did she?
She did not.
And she's continued to live in Philly for the rest of her life?
Until 1980 when she died. As far as we know. Like I said, that family relationship was fractured.
Good. So lots of twists and turns, and it's hard to follow at first glance. And I won't soon not remind Detective Wallace that she was accused of being alive in 1972. I was alive, but the question wasn't to me. Teletypes, old school. We opened it up with talking about the tried and true traditions of cold case investigations. And there's several detectives in this room, current, retired, who have done that hard work. And you still knock on doors, you still talk to family members, you still talk to potential witnesses, and an occasional deathbed confession. But now with this science, the genetic genealogy, we're able to bring closure far more often than we ever have. And we're proud to lead the way in Fairfax County and to partner with such great organizations that do this unbelievable, important work. It's a testimony to the perseverance of the profession, the detectives, and the world of science that now has a stronger role now, greater than ever before, with these types of complex investigations.
Chief Davis, I can ask one more thing, because you've mentioned closure a couple of times now. How emotional is this for you?
Well, I'll let the Detective Wallace, come on back up. They pour their heart and souls into these investigations, and when they pick up a cold case, and they're literally starting from scratch, and their process, I won't speak for them, is to really kind of go back in time when there are such things as teletypes, and kudos to the crime scene detective that Chief Wright mentioned. Why he collected hair back in 1972, he certainly wasn't forecasting, I believe, that science would be available down the road, but maybe it was just the hair color. Who knows why he did it, but thank God he did do it. So The closure, I'll let Detective Wallace speak to that a little bit.
This case was always important to me. I've only been involved in it for 4.5 years, but I have my own son, and I think most of us are parents here, and to see the extent of that boy's injuries and what he had suffered through, I'm happy to be here today announcing that at least we've identified him. He can have his name, we can get him his name back on his gravestone, and the family can have some semblance of closure or resolution moving forward.
Question on that, Melissa, about the gravestone, because in the storm, things were lost. What is the plan for that? I don't know if the same group that was involved back then is stepping forward? Or?
So I don't think that same Christian group is still in place, but we have talked with our victim services section. We know the general area of where he is in the cemetery, so we had talked about getting possibly like a bench with his name engraved to be able to put it in the general area of where we know he is.
All right, thank you.
Anyone from the Bryant
Yeah.
family? Karen? And
Yeah,
I
I-
realize it's difficult if anyone would like to step up.
Yeah, their presence here is meaningful, and we can't thank them enough for making the trip today. You all made the trip, Philadelphia PD made the trip, because it's important to a lot of people, so thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for coming out today. For more on this really important case and the breakthroughs that were made, and more on how to contact us if you have any information, you can check out our blog or any of our socials at Fairfax County PD. Thank you.